Hello everyone, and welcome to Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Naruto had the power of Rei, the technology god of elemental nations. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Chapter 1, The Beginning. Years after Kyuubi attack and ceiling. A 4-year-old little girl looked out her room's window as she watches her father and clan training the so-called prince and princess of Konoha. The little girl was about 2 feet 2 inches tall, her long blonde hair with red tips hand to her mid-back. She was wearing a small kimono with fox designs on but her eyes were her jewels bright blue with a gold zero-like shape in her pupil. She was Rei Uzumaki Namikaze. She was a lonely little girl that do not get any attention, only her brother and sister get any attention. 4 years ago a masked strange released the Kyuubi from her mother. She gave her life to reseal the Kyuubi's power into the 2 oldest children. They were Jin and Naruto. Both looked exactly like their father, but Naruto's hair was longer about to her top back. However, Rei was as lucky. She was still inside her mother when Kyuubi was taken. So when it was ripped out, Rei got hurt. Her chakra coils were screwed up, so she only the chakra level of a genin would always stay that level no matter how much she tried to raise the level. Her mother died, but her father lived that day, which started Rei's destiny. What no one can not even Rei herself. The Kyuubi tried to save itself by taking over Rei's body, but only his knowledge made it. So within her mind waits a sea of knowledge anyone would kill for a glimpse. However, it started to leak out into her mind, slowly increasing her mental body. Which is why we see Rei working on a new project which could finally give her the one thing she always wanted, a friend. In a large room, a large ceiling circle laid in the middle of the room with a small puppet toy in the exact middle. The puppet had green hair and a small frilly headband, small bat-like wings on its back and a simple black dress. Rei stood outside of the seal and started the seal to see if the project worked. Please let this work. Sniff sniff, I don't wanna be alone anymore, said a sad Rei with tears welling up in her eyes. She starts the seal and nothing happens for a few moments. Then a blast of blue chakra surrounds the doll, lifting it up off the ground. Rei watches with hope in her eyes, knowing it would work and she would get her first friend. Please work, please work, please work, chanted Rei in her head. The chakra suddenly swarms the doll and get collected inside and falls to the ground. Rei runs over to the puppet and it didn't move, didn't make a noise, not a single twitch. Wake up please, please let it had worked, said Rei as she watched the puppet. It didn't move. Shish, cried, knowing she would get a friend, so she set the puppet on the ground and walked to her bed. She kept crying into her pillow and never heard the small tip-tap of feet hitting wood. About 5 minutes later she lifted her head and looked at the ceiling circle and noticed the puppet was gone. She jumped to her feet thinking one of the clan members stole the puppet to give to her brother or sister like always. She ran to the door and saw something that gave her the greatest hope she ever had. The door was still locked. Then she heard its small feet running up to her side. She looked down and saw her puppet standing on its own looking at her. Hi, are you the one who created me? Said the small green-haired puppet. Why yes I am, and I'm glad I did. Will you be my friend? Said Rei in a hopeful and happy tone. Okay, I'll be your friend. But can I ask you something? Thank you, we'll be the greatest friends ever. What is it you want to ask? Rei spun with the puppet in her arms, happy she finally got a friend. Can I have some blood? Asked the small puppet with a creepy smile. Asked Rei in a freaked manner. I like blood, like when it flows from a cutter or when you cut someone in half and blood rains from the sky. It's really pretty, said an energetic voice from the puppet. Does it have to be human blood? Asked the freaked out Rei. No I guess not, but there has to be a lot. Sigh, well I wanted a friend and I got one. So what's your name? My name's Chachezuru, said a happy Chachezuru. It was on that day Rei Uzumaki Namikaze started on her destiny that will bring happiness and sadness to her friends and loved one. It was that day the name Rei would become something to fear and admire whenever heard. What did you guys think? Was it any good for a small start for the story? Will be a Yuri harem, not sure who will be in it yet though. I write more than just 1,000 word after I get a hang of it. Chapter 2. Summary. Rei, femme Naruto, a lonely child cursed with Knowledge not from their time of machines and weapons. Her older brother and sister blessed with the power of a godlike being. Rei will show the world power may overdo many technology will always prevail. Warning: I don't own any anime or games used in the story. Normal speaking. Thinking. Demonic and summon speaking. Demonic and summon thinking. Machine speaking. Chapter 2: The Escape. Time skip 5 years. You really are a disappointment. You can't even do the simplest task. Even your brother and sister can work the jutsu, yet you can't even raise a tenth of the needed chakra needed. That's the reason your brother and sister are going to be the new clan heads. Now stay in your room until dinner's ready, you worthless piece of crap, said a furious Minato at a downtrodden Rei. Daddy, I'm sorry, said Rei as she watched Minato leave the room, slamming the door on the way out. Is the prick gone yet? Said a voice from a pile of wooden dolls. I know you want to. Hell, I'd give anything just to torture him for the rest of his life for how he acts to you, but we need to stay low till we leave this hell, said an angry Chachizuru. Rei walks over to the bed and removes a silver case from underneath the bed. She places the case on the bed and opens it to see 2 blades, one the size of Chachizuru and another just the right size to fit in Chachizuru's hand. However, if you looked closely at the blades, 2 different series of seals lined the blades and handles. If someone tried to understand them, they wouldn't understand. Only Rei could understand. Kaya, are those my new blades? Giggles. Yep, I sent a shadow clone to finish them. It took some time to find good enough steel, but took longer to mold them to your liking. However, the seals were easier part though, said Rei, happy that her work came out as it did. Creating weapons like Chachizuru was hard. It took specific instructions on how to create them. The steel has to have a high density count, and when found you had to remelt said steel and mix large amount of human blood, female virgin blood, about 3 people's worth. Luckily she was able to steal some from the hospital. It's not like she was going to kill the girls for her own gain, even if she hates Konoha. They're beautiful. I still can't believe you were able to come up with that seal on you, said a happy Chachizuru looking at her blades. No one knows that while Rei was born with a disorder with her chakra never growing, she was able to go around normal methods and create a way to use jutsu. You see, as Rei was grabbing scrolls on different types of jutsu, she stumbled across her father's notes on natural chakra from the toads. He couldn't succeed in gathering it, so he wasn't a true toad sage. She learned that while regular chakra was mental and physical energy, natural chakra came from all living things and gave off no sign of increase to a person's chakra, so no one knew if you gathered the large quantity of chakra, no one would notice. This got her thinking, what if she was able to gather it, she could avoid the problem with her chakra never increasing. However, she had to find a way to control the levels she's containing to avoid turning into a toad, and the time limit the sage mode has. After trying to get into sage mode with no success, she was close to giving up. Then she saw her brother and sister trying to control Kyuubi's chakra when it hit her. If a seal can contain and help control a Bijuu's chakra, why can't it work with natural chakra? So she went on to develop a seal to gather a specific chakra into a larger control seal that would help keep the sage chakra from overwhelming her. She just needed a sample of true sage chakra being used. One day she got her chance. Jiraiya, the self-proclaimed super pervert, was showing off to her siblings. He was going to show them his sage mode that both twins heard so much about. That was her only chance, and she was able to get a control sample and start her seals. As soon as I started the seals, everything went hectic. Sage chakra started rushing her, slowly building in her till it set correctly in her coils. Chachizuru ran to her side to make sure Rei was okay and was extremely happy Rei was breathing. Rei started to get back to the land of the living when she felt an energy flowing through her being, making her one with nature. She felt everything. She felt the grass move outside, the dirt laying on the ground, even chakra coming from the people of the village. Her senses were also increased. She could see dust on her things, hear a person's heartbeat from outside, smell a woman's perfume from a rich civilian. Rei even tasted in ways no one could imagine. It ran through her head the reason for all the upgrades could have come from the fact the natural chakra's purity is increasing her body to that of things living in nature itself. She also learned that because the natural chakra was so pure that the potency made some jutsu that made something as small as a drizzle of rain into a storm with the natural chakra. I know the fact it worked and the upgrades from it have helped a lot. I do know it will help in my plan on leaving along with the other seals lining my body. Said a proud Ray for her seals and knowledge. You mean like the Requip seals? Exactly, with them it's sold make traveling easier but also fighting. Said Ray, knowing the Requip seals will help her on the journey. You see, after reading on basic seals and seeing containment seals were pocket dimensions holding things, she thought of a way to make it better to not only hold different weapons or equipment but to summon them specific items from the dimension pocket. After creating the seals, she trained with them non-stop till she could summon a specific item to her hands or body in less than a second. So what kind seals did you put on my blades? Asked Chachezero while examining the blades Ray made her. Oh, just some density seals to make them more durable, chakra seals to absorb jutsu and redirect the chakra at the victim, and poison seals to add a poison to the blade to inject them with it. Yet again, said a proud Ray. Though she developed a sweat drop seeing Chachezero running around the room in joy of her new blades. Suddenly she got a gloss-over look in her eyes and Chachezero stopped suddenly looking at Ray with a serious look, waiting for Ray to tell her what was going on. 2 weeks. Said a serious Ray. 2 weeks? Asked a confused Chachezero. They're going to be a hitch in Anbu patrol when we can sneak by to leave. Chachezero's eyes widened to the size of DNNER plates, but happy she and Ray will finally leave the hellhole called Konoha. Well, let's get started packing for the journey. Said a happy Chachezero. We need to tell them we're leaving soon. I don't want to get them angry again even more so since last time we did something without telling them. They both shook in fear at the thought of Ray's friends when angry they just got out alive the last time. Don't worry, I'll go tell them when we're leaving, but also we will get them out when we're strong enough, said a spooked Chachezero. She still couldn't believe such sweet little girls could be so horrifying. Ray stops moving around the room packing things up to watch Chachezero float from the room to tell her friends on what was about to happen. She hoped they wouldn't be too upset with her leaving so soon. She just hopes she doesn't have another hunter-prey moment with them. She still had the scar of where they whipped her. I shouldn't forget to grab Project N, if anyone got their hands on it. I am sure they would use it for evil. Ray walked up to a section of the wall of her room, opening a small slot showing a safe covered in seals from protection seals, to fail-safe seals rig. D to destroy everything inside the safe if the correct code and hand signs aren't done within a minute of first attempt. After opening the safe, she pulled a small cylinder container made of steel and GL. In the middle of the container there is a small speck floating. Life and death. This could help millions if done right, but could also cause total destruction of all life. I can't let someone with evil intentions get their hands on it. Ray examined the small speck, placing it into a high-security dimension portal. After emptying the safe, she walks over to her bed and checks her equipment to make sure she has all her weapons and ammo. She was really glad she learned smithing, or she would have to share the knowledge of her specific weapons, and that wasn't an option. 2 weeks till I can finally escape and find somewhere different to live, but where to? I'll figure it out when I escape, exclaimed Ray as she walked to her window looking at the forest beyond the wall surrounding Konoha. Many saw that wall as a defense against thoughts who wished them harm, but to her it was a jail wall keeping her in. Soon she will be free, and when she's strong enough she will return for her friends. Time skip 2 weeks. We find Ray and Chachezero standing on top of the Namikaze mansion around 11 at night in the middle of spring, about a month from her birthday. So how do we get past the wall? Asked Chachezero, hoping this would be bloody escape but knew it probably wouldn't be. We head for the western wall. There is a small window when a rookie Anbu switches with another. He usually leaves about 5 minutes early. And this village wonder how so many spies get into Konoha. Well, they are arrogant pricks, all of them, thinking just because a man could summon the Shinigami but also seal the Kyuubi. I can't wait till you start Project N. The world won't know what hit them. Hey wait, Anbu are always watching the streets, how are we gonna get past them? Asked a confused Chachezero. Quote, that's easy, we go through the sewer my dear Zero-chan, said a smiling Ray at a disturbed Chachezero. Why, you can't be serious, that's just disgusting, exclaimed a sick Chachezero. Sorry, it's the only way. Fine, but I'm not stepping in the water down there. Deal. Now let's get going, the switch will be soon, said a serious Ray. They jumped the wall of the mansion straight for a manhole cover. They quickly but quietly opened the manhole so as not to alert any Anbu of their presence. After slowly lowering themselves down, the stench of the sewer hit them hard. "Oh God, it smells horrible. It's like they stuffed 100 skunks up my nose and burned them," exclaimed Chachezero, trying to block the smell. "I've smelt worse," said Ray, continuing to walk the sewer. "Where did you freaking smell something worse than this?" asked a confused and horrified Chachezero. "My brother's room." "Oh, I guess that is more horrid." They quickly navigated the sewer system's series of tunnels till the end near the western wall. Quietly climbing the ladder, then ran to the wall. Ray slowly added just a small dose of sage chakra to stick to the wall and carried Chachezero up the wall. "We're almost there, come on," whispered Ray, slowly jumping down the wall and waiting for Chachezero to float down. When she did, they ran but tried to stay to the shadows, staying out of sight from Konoha Anbu. When moving deeper into the forest, a man suddenly appeared before Ray wearing an Anbu mask and armor. "Halt, why are you in the forest outside of the Konoha so late at night?" asked the masked Anbu. "Should I need do something quick or get taken back, that's it," thought Ray, quickly picking up Chachezero. She tried her best sweet little girl voice while slowly summoning one of her weapons. "ID. T no IW. Just walking and wandered out here, eh? I circa. G. Back," exclaimed a teary-eyed Ray, holding a smiling puppet. The Anbu looked at the little girl, a little freaked out by the smiling puppet in her arms. "Sigh, come on, we all get you back. It shouldn't take too long to get you bang." "Ack." The Anbu suddenly became silent, not moving. And in intense pain, he slowly looks back, and Finn Ally sees the little girl for who she was. She was 3 feet 4 inches long, blonde hair with red tips and bright blue eyes with a golden ring around her iris. She wore a battle kimono with a foxta sign on them, holding a large object, black object with silver designs with a small amount of smoke coming from it. She was Rei Uzumaki Namikaze, the child of the 4th Hokage. "Cerberus. I haven't seen use him in a while," said the puppet, socking him that a puppet was actually alive. "I know. Don't worry, Anbu, you will wake up tomorrow, but you will feel pain." She watched the Anbu faint from the pain and started running again. Knowing that she was finally free, she kept running till she could rest for a while. "I'm finally free." She looked at the moon and rested, knowing soon she would have to keep moving and stay out of sight. Chapter 2 end. Hopefully this was better review. By the way, I have chosen the 7 girls for her harem, and if anyone can guess them all right, I'll release their names. Have some hints. 7 to some people, nothing to her village. She makes everything from your mind but nothing. A snow angel that lost everything for showing her power. Blind but sees everything. A mermaid who wants to be human. An ugly caterpillar who turns into a butterfly. A peacock who watches the star. They're all from Naruto. Chapter 3. Summary. Rei, femme Naruto, a lonely child cursed with knowledge. Not from their time of machines and weapons. Her older brother and sister blessed with the power of a godlike being. Rei will show the world power may overdo many, technology will always prevail. Wa. RNING. I don't own any anime or games used in the story. Normal speaking. Thinking. Demonic and summon speaking. Demonic and summon thinking. Machine speaking. CHAPTER 3 Remembering. After and about a half an hour of resting, Rei and Chachezero started back on their journey, slowly walking so as to catch no attention. Even though it was past midnight, the forest was shining, the moon illuminating the forest. You could see small animals moving around in the moon's light, either hunting for food or trying to hide. She finally felt free and at peace with her life for the moment, at least. She knew that the Namikaze clan would send Hunter Nin after her once they learned her leaving. She used to believe that her family could redeem herself. After all, her father always preached, those who break the rules and codes of the ninja world are trash, but those who don't take care of their comrades and family are lower than trash. She believed it and kept it close to her heart, but it all crumbled when she learned the truth. 3.5 years ago, all her hope and desire to be a part of her family crushed by what she heard. Flashback 3.5 years ago. "Can I play with you guys?" asked a meek Rei, looking at her brother and sister and some children of the clan. "No, you're not allowed to. You're not a true Namikaze. Everyone says so," said a arrogant Jin, acting like the prince of the world. "Yeah, you can't even do the simplest jutsu," Everyone knows if you can't do powerful jutsu you're not a clan member. So why don't you just go away, you zero? Exclaimed an equally arrogant Naruto at the tear-filled-eyed Rei. Zero, 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 zero. The children chanted at Rei as they walked away to play another games of tag. Rei slowly walked back inside crying but still had hope she would be expected sooner or later. I just wish it was sooner. Playing with Chachezero may be fun, I want to play with other, thought a sad but hopeful Rei. She started walking to her room when passing the Namikaze council room. She heard talking so she peeked in to listen. What she didn't know was that meeting was going to change everything in her life. Don't do this, I'm trying the best I can to make her strong in her own way. I can get her into seals and taijutsu that will make her strong, begged a sad Minato on his hands and knees trying to get the council members to change their minds. You can't change our minds, Minato. Your daughter doesn't have enough chakra to be able to use the Namikaze jutsu, therefore she's not a real Namikaze and the plan will be done, stated the elder Namikaze council member to the begging Minato. I agree, and seals. Your daughter is probably too stupid to understand a simple explosive note, let alone become a seal master, stated a female council member, other nodding their heads in agreement. Please, just a little more time, it'll be stricter than ever, and if I can't get her to start getting any better in seals I'll agree to your plan, said a saddened Minato with his head low so no one could see the tears flowing from Minato's eyes. Then it's settled. You have 5 years to get her to at least a second-level seal master. If you can't, she will be sold to T. He Fire Lord's first son, Lord Sasuke, age 30. Now on to next business. The prince and princess. Rei didn't hear any more. She shakily stood up and slowly walked to her room. Her father went along with T. He would sell her to a man around 6 times her age just because she could do stupid jutsu. Everything she knew about comrades, friends, and family shattered in seconds. The saying she held so close to her heart, giving her a hope she would finally be a part of the family someday, just became nothing. Her heart breaking from what she heard, then it happened. Everything in her heart just became hollow. She felt nothing, she couldn't understand anything, her heart felt as though it suddenly stopped. Rei made it to her room. She walked into the room and locked it. She tried to make it to her bed but couldn't. She dropped to the ground crying, her heart out, curling into a ball, not moving. Chachezero, waiting in her room, witnessed her dropping to the ground, ran to her side as quickly as possible, but seeing her cry got her worried and asked what was wrong. Rei told her about the council meeting, how she was going to marry off to a man well above her age to become who knows what, and the fact her father went along with it. Chachezero was furious. She just wanted to kill the whole clan, not giving a shit about blood, she just wanted them dead. She was even thinking of doing it right then and there, but she knew Rei needed someone. She convinced Rei to stand and get her into her bed instead of the hard cold floor. Chachezero curled into Rei's arms trying to calm her down, reminding her she still had one person left who would always be with her. Sniff sniff, who's that? Asked Rei in a weak and broken tone. Giggles, me silly, I'll always be here with you through thick and thin, it's the least I can do for my sister figure. Exclaimed a slightly happy Chachezero. Hearing that, Rei lowered the crying a little and hugged her puppet sister to her chest. She laid on that bed thinking of everything that happened to her life and the hell she was put through, only to discover they were going to sell her. On that day Rei lost all hope she had for her family, but gained something more, a sister she never thought of till now. Her love for her little puppet grew by leaps and bounds, and Chachezero knew she would need to be her emotional support. Chachezero decided that she was going to stay there the rest of the day and night, showing the crying the little blonde brainiac the love she. Next day after they woke up, they decided that they would escape someday before the day she was to be sold. Flashback end. Rei continued walking, remembering that day. It was the day her false hope was destroyed and her true small green-haired hope leapt into her heart. Tears slowly fell from her eyes as she remembered it all, and Chachezero noticed them. Hey, why are you crying? We're free, exclaimed the green-haired puppet, flailing her arms around in a childish manner. Giggles, sorry, I was just remembering the day the idea for escaping happened. Well, don't be sad, they didn't deserve you and your gift, so smile, said a pouting Chachezero in a cutely manner. Giggles, I'm not crying out of sadness, you stupid puppet. Hey. I'm crying out of joy because it was that day I gained a real family from you, said a happy Rei to a widely smiling Chachezero. They continued walking in a comfortable silence, knowing they had each other's back, or in the case of Chachezero, lower legs. You did tell them we were leaving today, right, Zero-chan? I'm not that stupid to forget I told them exactly the date and time we were moving out. Chachezero defiantly knew not to anger them. They extremely frightening. Hell, they made well hell look like a field of pretty flower. I can still remember the first tea. Ime we met them, it was the day we gained great friends, said a happy and longing Ray. Flashback 2 years. Twalalala hee hee hee. Chachezero, stop cutting all the flower in half, damn it, yelled a slig. HTLY angry Ray at the twirling puppet with large blades. Hee hee, sorry, said embarrassed Chachezero. I was little happy about the new blades, hee hee. Ray just rolled her eyes and watched the clouds as they float by, wondering what it would be like to fly in the sky. Chachezero watched Ray as she watched the clouds, knowing that someday Ray would find a way to fly with the clouds and she would be there to help. She was happy Ray was finally out of the funk she was in from her family and was finally doing something with her life. Hopefully she would become something more than a small fry civilian or ninja, hell, even a cage. She knew she would change the world for good or bad. She didn't care. She would stay by Ray's side. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know anyone was here, said a voice, startling Ray and Chachezero from behind. They looked behind and saw 2 girls. One was extremely pale, looked almost ghost-like, had brown braided hair with 2 small golden balls on the left side of her face. The other was slightly smaller than the first girl, and Ray, she wore hyuga robes. She had black hair that reached just under her shoulder and milky white eyes that made her look blind. To Chachezero they were T2 regular girls, but to Ray they were extremely beautiful. It's okay, we didn't know anyone else knew of this field thought, said Ray in a kind voice, trying to hide her blush. Yeah, we just found it not too long ago. We come here to play and talk when we can together. I hope you don't mind sharing, asked the taller of the 2 girls. I don't mind. My name's Ray Uzumaki Namikaze and that's Chachezero, said Ray as she pointed to herself and her moving puppet. Cool, a moving puppet. Anyway, our names are Ray. Flashback ends. Ah, sorry, just remembering the girls. Giggles, someone's in love, exclaimed a giggling Chachezero at a blushing Ray. Well, anyway, we're almost to the first town. We should be there soon. Good, I can change clothes and get some sleep somewhere for the night, said a happy Ray. They continued on and spotted the small town. It was nothing too big, nor was it too small. They walked into the town and quickly found a hotel. After getting a room they went to sleep, dreaming of the future to come for them. Quickly getting up at sunrise, they both took a much-needed shower to get the grim off. Ray decided to change her clothing to something else, but she didn't know what. She had equipment galore and some wear better than others in blending in than others, but she needed you that both stood out but kept her hidden. With some arguing between Ray and Chachezero, she decided on a certain outfit and weapons to stay out with her for part of the journey. Ray quickly equipped her outfit and weapon and showed Chachezero, who clapped at her clothing. She now wore a black, long-sleeve shirt and loose leather pants with a blood-red cloak covering her upper torso and bottom of her face. The cloak was locked into place by 6 straps, and she also had a blood-red headband holding her hair off her face but spiking her hair a bit. Her chosen weapons were a steel gauntlet with claws on her left arm that was reinforced with seals and element seals to add a little more to the slash. Her second was a large 3-barreled weapon with silver designs of a 3-headed dog she called Cerberus. It was about the length of half her arm. After stopping at a small restaurant for breakfast, she walked on with Chachezero floating behind her. What shocked them both was the fact nobody noticed her in the clothing or the floating puppet, which made things easier for them. They head out of town, slowly traveling the road towards their first stop and choice for a new home. Takigakure, the village hidden in a waterfall. From rumors she heard, there was a container of water that held great power but was sacred to their people. She wanted to find it and see if she was figure a way to create more if it was real. Ah, what was that? Asked a confused Chachezero. I don't know, but it's coming from over there, exclaimed Ray, pointing toward the forest on the side of the road. They quickly run through the forest, moving through the forest as they could, and after a few seconds they come across a disgusting sight. 3 Konoha ninjas, what looked to be genin, were attempting to RA young women. The Konoha ninjas turned to see Ray smiling, thinking they were going to do the same to her. Well, what do we have here? A small little girl holding a metal rod and a puppet come to save her. How hilarious. What do you say, boys? Should we R her too? said one of the nins as the other leered at Rei with lust in their eyes. Rei looked at the nin in disgust, just wanting to kill them, but she needed to surprise them. "No, please leave her alone, don't touch her. I'll stop struggling if you do," yelled the women at the beginning, becoming meeker near the end, hoping to save the little girl. "Now we like it when girls resist. Now come here, lit," before the nin could finish ho. Weaver Rei had risen her weapon and pulled the trigger point blank into the man's chest. A loud bang rings out in the clearing and blood showers the other nins and women. The nins' partners look in shock, in horror at their partner never noticing the puppet was gone till it was too late. Chachezero comes up from behind with her blade the size of her and swings, cutting the nin's head clean off. The last of the team looks in shock, jumping to his feet hoping to kill the little girl before he could get hit. Rei, seeing the last rapist charging, gets ready for a fight. As he closes in on her, she pulls the trigger, trying to get a hit before he gets too close, but the nin was dodging the shots. As he came up close, he pulled a kunai out and threw some shuriken at her, hoping to hit. Rei tried to deflect the shuriken with the gauntlet, but one got through and grazed her arm. She jumped forward, charging her gauntlet with sage chakra, creating a thin layer of extremely sharp wind surrounding her gauntlet. The nin tried to block her arm but was surprised to find kunai cut in half and part of his arm cut and unusable. As Rei was about to charge him again, the nin jumped back, hopping to get some distance. Unfortunately for him, he forgot about the puppet, so as soon as the landed, he was cut by the large blade across the back, wounding him further. Cursing the puppet, he jumped back, hopping to gain some distance from, but once he landed, his whole body started shutting down. The nin looked to see the little girl and puppet walking up to him as if knowing he couldn't fight back. He started wondering what happened to him, and almost as if the puppet could read his mind, she answered his question. "When I hit you with my blade, a toxic poison was released into your bloodstream. You see, I'm not an ordinary puppet, as you can see. In fact, there is one thing anyone who knows me knows: I love the sight and feel of blood, so I designed this poison just for that. You see, that poison will cause all the blood rush to your head and bleed out every hole." Chachezero pointed to his ears, mouth, eyes, and nose, showing where he would bleed out. Then the nin felt it, blood rushing to head, slowly leaking. He tried to scream but only started drowning in his own blood. About a minute later, the nin died from blood loss. Chachezero danced around the body happily while Rei went to the women. "Are you all right?" "Why, I think so. I'm glad. I'm also glad those ninja underestimated us. Had they not, we would have been killed." "I am. Does your puppet?" "Sigh, yeah, she does this a lot, but once you get to know her, she's a great friend," said Rei, sweat dropping at the sight of Chachezero dancing around the body. After cleaning the women up, they went their separate ways. Rei and Chachezero slowly made their way towards the next location, Takigakure. Chapter 3 End. Hopefully this chapter better describes why Rei hates her family, and that even with all her knowledge, she still needs to grow and train to get stronger. So she wants start of cage level strength. Chapter 4. Summary. Rei, femme Naruto, a lonely child cursed with knowledge not from their time of machines and weapons. Her older brother and sister blessed with the power of a godlike being. Rei will show the world power may overdo many, technology will always prevail. Warning: I don't own any anime or games used in the story. Normal speaking. Thinking. Demonic and summon speaking. Demonic and summon thinking. Machine speaking. Chapter 4 Takigakure. We find Rei and Chachezero walking down a road towards Takigakure to hopefully find some of the hero water they keep hidden. It took 2 weeks to get as far as they did so as to stay out of sight. However, if what she believed to be true on where the hero water came from, it could open a la new section of weapons, even finally finishing Project N. She knew that the hero water couldn't be made naturally. There had to be a reason the water had its property. After hearing the rumors of the water about how it increased the person's chakra tenfold, even allowing full control over their chakra to create barriers. Although drinking the water caused the person's body to die slowly, the amount drunk would determine the number of years taken their lives. The benefits of the water sounded similar to something she read once, by the fact that the person dies sooner because it started getting her wondering. After learning all she could about Takigakure from books in the clan library, she learned a lot. From the fact the tree they live under was made by the first Hokage, and the fact the Y had their own biju, meaning they had a Jinjuriku. Then it hit her. The tree was made from chakra, so it must absorb chakra from its surroundings, so there had to be a reason it was creating the hero water. She then remembered a story she read a long time ago about a stone that helped grow plants for an ancient people. The stone also gave its creates the power to do the same things people did with the water. It all made sense. There had to be a small deposit of the stone of Gelul under the tree. However, the question was, how could ordinary people use the water if only the makers could hold the power of the stone? The answer was the tree itself that allowed the people of the village to use the hero water. The tree must have constantly drew chakra from the stone, slowly condensing it inside the tree, making it into water. However, the fact that others could use it meant one thing: the hero water was unrefined, and the reason it kills those who drink it is because the water is eating the body, trying to become a stone again. Therefore, every time they drank it, they died because they didn't have the correct blood to control it. Soon she would get her answer, because they were coming up to the spot the entrance was said to be. They looked at the huge waterfall and couldn't believe its beauty, and just looked at it for a second until Chachezero had to ruin the moment. You know what would make it even more beautiful? The water replaced by blood, exclaimed a happy Chachezero while Ray's sweat dropped and stared at her with an emotionless face. I worry about you sometime. What do you mean by that? Hey, come back, yelled Chachezero, chasing after Ray, who just walked away from her. They walked up to the waterfall, seeing a hole just under the water leading deeper into the water. That must be the entrance. Let's get going. The sooner we're in, the sooner I can find the stone of Gelul, said a serious Ray as she jumped into the water, but not before re-equipping a swimsuit so her clothes don't get wet. As both Ray and surprisingly Chachezero swam, they noticed no seals of defense, showing that they may be a security checkpoint at the end. They both shook their heads at each other to activate a SPECIAL seal that Ray made that bent light around the one wearing it. However, it doesn't last long, only about 20 minutes. As they came to the end of the swim, which made Ray happy because she was almost out of air, she was regretting not creating that underwater breather right now. They both slowly raised to the top of the water and saw what they thought two Chunin-level ninjas waiting at the entrance. They both slowly got out of the water so not to disturb the water and catch the attention of the ninja. Once out of the water, they headed for a small formation of rocks to hide and dry out before moving on. Man, my dress and hair are soaked. Why didn't I change into a swimsuit? Said a depressed Chachezero at the fact she was soaked. If I had to guess, you were having another dumb moment. Aid Ray as she dried off with a towel she got from one of her dimension pockets. Hey, I don't have dumb moments. What about the time you ran into the forest of death? Hey, I couldn't resist. How about the time you tried to show me a active explosive knot? I wanted to show you. Then there was the time you decided to steal Dango from that one lady. Hey, we said we would never speak of that again. Then there was last Halloween when you, okay, I get it, I have dumb moments. Meanie, said Chachezero while blushing at all the examples of dumb moments. As they dried, Ray decided on the Sam outfit. She walked there but put her weapons away just in case a ninja sees her. As they walked in the shadows of the village, they noticed it was extremely small for a hidden village, which meant there had to be a secret place for headquarters for ninja, but they didn't go there for that. As they moved, Ray saw a head of green hair walking down the street. She thought it was Chachezero and was about to go get her when she noticed Chachezero was right next to her. Watching the head of green hair, she noticed that some people either ignored it or glared at it with as much hatred they could. Ray, wondering why the people did this, followed the head and was finally able to see who it was. It was a girl around her age who wore an orange clip in her short, spiky mint green hair that matched her eye color. Her outfit consisted of a short sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long white armlets, and fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over it. On her back she carried a red tube containing who knows what. And in Ray's eyes she was extremely pretty, which got her wondering why people were glaring at her. Ray decided to follow the girl, not seeing Chachezero's shit-eating grin aimed at Ray. Ray watched as people tossed the girl from stores and restraints, and the one that did let her in made her pay triple the price the stuff really cost. As Ray watched, she could see the loneliness and unshed tears in her eyes from people calling her a demon. She could feel the ki coming off Chachezero in waves, but not enough to alert anyone. Those people, they're almost like the people from the Namikaze clan. I just want to slaughter them. murmured Chachezero as Ray nodding at the idea but knew if they did it could make things harder for them. So they decided to follow her. And see where she went and followed her to an old abandoned house that looked like it was about to fall at any moment. Let's go talk to her Zero-chan, maybe we can help her in some way. Yeah, I am sure. She could use some company even if just a little. They followed the girl into the house and saw her crying on the ground and it broke their hearts to see it. Fu was 9 years old and orphaned because of the seven-tailed Biju, and it hurt her to know she held the beast that killed them. She lived in a small village, so knowledge of her being a Jinjuriku was common knowledge and it haunted her to no end. So was lonely and tired, she sometimes thought of committing suicide just to end her torment but didn't, for hope she would meet someone to save her from the darkness of her life. But it seemed I was just another dark day as she walked down the street, everyone doing something to hurt her in some way. After some searching she found a store that would let her buy some food but at triple the price, which meant she only had enough for a week if she ate small, about 5% the body needed. She knew she would be going hungry but at least it was something. Fu walked into her home, which was a dump. It looked ready to fall and stepped into a large room with trashed couches and fireplace. She placed the food down on the couch and couldn't hold it anymore. The looks finally got to her and she dropped to the ground crying. She hoped today was the day she would get the light in her darkness, but it seemed it wasn't gonna happen ever. Thoughts of killing herself started filling her head, and usually she could push them away, but Todi was different. All the looks and names hit her harder today because of hunger and mental exhaustion, so today they pushed through and finally made her change her mind. She decided it was time she finally finished her pain and darkness people call life. As she was about to get up to grab a knife or something sharp to slit her wrist, she heard a voice. You know, a pretty girl like yourself shouldn't cry, nor live in a place like this, it's not safe, said a calm voice from behind her. She whipped her head behind her to see a blonde girl wearing black and red with beautiful blue eyes with a gold ring in them. She also noticed a small green-haired puppet behind the girl. They both walked over to one of the couches, jumping on it and laying down, looking at her as they did. Are you a little afraid of the girl that may have come to beat her up? Me, I'm Rei Uzumaki, and the puppet laying with me is Chachezero, said Rei while pointing towards her green-haired puppet sister. Why are you here? Asked Fu, a little scared of her. Well, I came to the house because I've been following you. Fu looked a little scared, knowing it was to figure out her home for something bad. I came in to talk to you and help you. I didn't like how the village was treating you, it made me want to kill them. So can you tell me why they were saying and doing all those things? Asked Rei to a slightly calmer Fu. Fu decided there was no reason to hide why, so she told her everything, why she was hated, who hated her and what she was. To say Rei was furious was an understatement. Hell, she wanted to go and detonate 100 explosive notes around the village for what they did. She saw Fu crying again, so Rei and Chachezero hugged her close to their bodies to show the care. Fu didn't know what to do. A girl and walking puppet started hugging her after telling them everything, but she felt nice. She couldn't understand what was happening to her. She felt warm, safe, happy, she felt loved. She couldn't hold it in, so she cried harder than she ever has before into the girl's arms. She felt Rei wrap her arms around her, rubbing her back like how she saw parents do to their children when they're sad. After some time, Fu stopped crying and just held onto Rei just to feel the warmth. Rei would have guessed the girl fell asleep in her arms had not for her to say something. Fu, what? My name's Fu, stated Fu, still in Rei's arms, cuddling into the warmth. Nice to meet you, Fu. How about I get us something to eat? But I don't have a lot of food. Don't worry, I have a lot stored away to stay fresh. Rei stood up, removing Fu from her arms, hearing a whimper escape the green-haired girl's mouth. Rei opened a small, dimensional pocket, removing some food to cook up for the three of them. Fu, however, was a little sad she lost the warmth from the hug of Rei, but she was amazed at the fact Rei opened a dimension pocket. She blushed, however, when she saw the food being taken out and a growl coming from her stomach. Giggle, it seems someone's hungry, let me make us something real quick, exclaimed a happy Rei. Time skip 1 hour. An hour passed, the three ate some simple rice and fish, but to Fu it was the most delicious food she ever ate. While eating, Rei told Fu about her and Chachezero's past, and Fu was sad she went through all that, but happy, so understood part of her pain. Fu then asked why they were there anyway, They said that they were looking for the hero water and something else, and when finished they would leave to head to their next location. When she heard they were going to leave, her heart ran cold, thinking that the only light in her darkness, the one who saved her from killing herself, would leave. She had to act fast. Please don't leave, I don't wanna be alone anymore. Please stay here with me, I'll do anything. Please. Fu begged on her hands and knees, trying to get Ray to stay with her and show her love. I have to leave, I have a lot to do and promises to keep. Sorry, Fu, said a saddened Ray, looking at Fu crying on her knees, weeping at the loss of her light. Fu thought she would never be happy if she left and knew things would only get worse as she grew. Ray, however, was thinking what to do. Then it hit her, she could keep her promise and make Fu happy at the same time. What Fu heard come out of Ray's mouth next made everything turn around. Her light grew brighter as she knew she was going to be happy. I may not be able to stay, but that doesn't mean you can't come with us. We would gladly take you with us, said Ray at the now happily crying Fu. Fu tackled a laughing Ray to the ground, saying yes over and over again. Chachezero looked on in happiness that her sister was most likely going to get another girl, though she wondered if there was anyone else that her sister would win the heart of. What she didn't know was that 4 girls around Elemental Nation sneezed at the same time. After a while they decided to call it night and head to bed, but Fu decided to cuddle Ray as she slept. The next morning, after Ray cooked breakfast, she asked Fu if she knew the location of the hero water. You're not gonna take it all, are you? No, I just need a small sample to see if I can't refine it and create more to make something out of it. However, I will search the tree to see if I can find what I think is the main reason for the hero water's creation. Ooh, okay, I can show you right now, said Fu as she led Ray and Chachezero towards the tree towering over the village, sticking to the shadows to avoid detection. As they aimed to the tree, Fu showed them a secret entrance in the roots and started navigating the roots to the altar holding the water. Around a half an hour later, we find the group staring at the altar in joy. Ray knew if what she believed to be true, then soon Project N would finally be finished, meaning training and creating would become easier. They moved towards the altar and opened it and saw a small container almost filled with water hanging. Ray and Chachezero couldn't believe it, they finally had a piece in their plan. After taking about 1/10 of the bottle, she sealed it into a dimension pocket. Then she started her true work and tried to follow the energy signal coming from the water back to the original source, but the tree was interfering badly, so she decided to search manually. They all went deeper into the tree, hoping to catch an unnatural source of energy from the tree. However, as they looked, they couldn't feel a thing wrong, and Ray was starting to lose hope that the stone wasn't here and the water was made natural. As they kept searching, they never felt a small source of the stone at all, so they decided to give up. They started making their way out of the tree, slowly making progress. Sorry, Ray-san, that we couldn't find the stone, said a depressed Fu, thinking she failed Ray. It's all right, it was only a theory, so no big. Also no honorifics, okay, Fu-chan, said a slightly depressed Ray, but giggled at a blushing Fu. As they walked out the corner of Chachezero's eye, she noticed a blue stone with a weird feeling when she got closer. Guys, I think I found it, exclaimed a happy Chachezero. The girls ran back towards and saw it, a small bluish gem with moving insides under a deeper root of the tree. Yes, we found it, exclaimed the extremely happy Ray, who was jumping up and down. Fu was glad that Ray was happy, which made her happy too, but started blushing heavily when Ray looked toward her and kissed her hard on the lips. After the joy was degraded, they got to work digging it out and found it to be a stream of the stone, but because she didn't need a lot to achieve what she needed, she took enough to fill an average backpack, which was small compared to the massive stream of the stone. Does this mean we can leave? Yep, we can leave right away, because I don't want to spend even another minute in the village for what they did to you, Fu, said a happy Ray to an equally happy Fu. They made their way out of the tree, slowly making their way across the village, laying low to not bring attention to themselves. However, they didn't take into the account of a ninja village's Anbu and was seen leaving the village. As they came out of the same water they went in to get in, Fu glad she packed all her clothes because of being soaked. As they walked down the road heading towards their next location, the newly developed Sound Village, which was said to have ninja that could transform into monster because of a seal, and seal wanted the formula for it to make a better version. As they walked, they heard someone coming out of the water and hid. Looking back, they could see an Anbu. Damn it, he must have saw us as we left, whispered Ray, We can't run, we have to at least knock him out. How do we do that? Whispered Fu, looking at a thoughtful Ray. When Ray finally came up with an idea. Do you trust me, Fu? Ray asked Fu, who shook her head. Good, here's what we do. The Anbu looked for the Jinchuriku, hopeful to find it and say it tried to run and kill him so he could kill it before it did any damage. He saw the demon run out from behind a tree trying to make it away to avoid him. Too bad for her, he was faster and charged her. As he ran out of the corner of his eye, he saw someone come up to him with at least genin speed, guessing that she was the demon's companion. He kicked her away, but she was able to cut him before getting hit. Don't try to run, demon, I have your little friend. Come out, I might just let her live. Don't, Fu, take Chachezero and run, please. Don't worry about me. Humph. Ray tried to finish but was punched in the stomach, blood flying out her mouth. Please stop. I'll come out. Fu slowly walked out from behind a tree with the walking puppet. Haha, good you came out, and now that I know where you are, I'll kill this little girl then, you said the Anbu as he brought a kunai up to Ray's neck. You said you wouldn't. I said I might, now say good night to your little friend, demon. Can't I move? A slightly afraid Anbu asked. That's easy, my dear Anbu. Ray made the Anbu's arm move and let her down. Fu and Chachezero ran over to check on. When I hit you with my knife, I injected you with one of my project, or specifically Project N. You see, Project N stands for nanite, which are small robots that I can control with my mind with ease. I commanded that specific bot to infect you and head for your brain and take control. Now I command you to kill yourself. The Anbu tried to resist but couldn't, so he begged, but that didn't work either, so he slit his own neck. The Anbu dropped in seconds and bleed out, and while that was happening, a small speck came out of his blood, going straight to Ray, who placed it back into the container to STA. RT, replicating with scrap metal and some of the stone of Gelul and a engine. Soon she would have hopefully 100 in a month. I mean, it does take a while for them to make new ones, but definitely faster than by hand. I'm glad your plan worked, Ray-chan, said a happy Fu, looking for an injury. Thanks, guy, I am glad my plan worked. Now we should leave before anyone comes around. Also, Chachezero, stop poking the body. Sorry. They made their way back to the road, moving a little faster than usual to get to their next location. However, because Ray was still hurt not too fast, it would take time to heal. Their next stop, the land of rice, and a new seal for Ray's collection. I hope you all understand the implications of nanites in elemental countries. Until next time. The end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.